Welcome back. Right now, millions of Americans in the southeast are still without power after Helene. That storm now blamed for more than 100 deaths across several states.
And soon President Joe Biden will update the country on the federal government's response. Nicole Valdez is live in Anderson, South Carolina, where cleanup and recovery efforts continue. I mean, some of the images out of that region, Nicole, are just, overwhelming, really.
Yeah, they're tough to put into words. Good morning to you both. I think a big priority today, not only for cleanup crews trying to pick up a lot of these trees and power lines that came crashing down during the height of that storm, is of course going to be getting the lights back on for so many still without power. That number here in South Carolina stands at about 700,000 still this morning, and that's after some dents and some progress were made over the weekend. But of course, nobody's going to forget anytime soon just how many lives have been lost. Here in South Carolina, that is 27 people who were killed by this storm. A majority of those deaths, in fact, caused by falling trees. So many of them came crashing down onto homes, onto cars. So as that grief continues this week, of course, people trying to start picking up the pieces of their lives and reconnecting with loved ones that may have been cut off for days.
Historic flooding from Helene submerged parts of western North Carolina underwater over the weekend.
There was a whole house right there.
This Marshall, North Carolina woman says she fled after the waters reached waist deep.
I was grabbing stuff. I have my 3 dogs in the car, and my car was like almost underwater.
The state's governor says rescue efforts are ongoing and that food, water, and supplies are being airlifted to those stuck in the hardest hit areas.
Oh, God.
This video shows the moment a bridge in Tennessee collapsed into rushing floodwaters.
She was ready to sink.
On Tybee Island in Georgia, this man, who goes by Huck Finn, and his dog, Creedy, are hoping high tide carries them back out to sea after strong winds from Helene stranded their boat on the side of the highway.
I thought we were supposed to gonna die.
Here in South Carolina, the state's governor is urging residents to be patient, warning that downed power lines like this one has slowed down cleanup crews.
My cat is alive, my neighbors are alive, and we are helping each other.
Massive recovery efforts are also underway in Florida.
We want to be helpful to get this debris.
While touring the devastation, the state's governor warned his state is not out of the woods just yet, with 2 more months left until hurricane season ends.
Still a lot of work to be done, and as I mentioned there, we've got a lot of people who are still cut off, still have no cell service. So I can imagine that for officials, that is going to be one of the first things they're going to want to restore in the next few days to make sure that people can get resources and once again connect with loved ones at this point, guys.
Nicole, I know the sun's coming up there. What have you seen on the ground now in South Carolina as that sun rises?
Definitely a lot of damage, but the kind of damage really depends on what you're looking at, because we have a lot of wind damage, and that's where you see the trees and the power lines down. We've also got several reports of tornadoes across the state of South Carolina and some of that devastating flooding. So the extent of the damage that you'll notice is really dependent on the community that you're in, the county that you're in, but overall the lack of power is what really stood out to us as we came into Anderson, South Carolina earlier today, and something that I imagine will be the one thing people try to get back on pretty soon.
Yeah, all right. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for your reports, and our hearts go out to everybody impacted by this storm. Thank you very much. Well, let's get